Hello everyone. So in this one, I'm going to be giving you 5 questions a narcissist can never answer. Because the thing is, with these narcissists, they always act like they know everything. Like they're so sure of themselves. They know exactly what's going on. They've got everything figured out. The reality is, of course, that couldn't be further from the truth. They haven't got everything figured out. They don't know what's going on. And actually, they're in denial. And yeah, they're just living a lie. That's really what they're doing. And that's how these 5 questions, it will really expose everything. It will reveal to you of how they are in denial. They are lying to themselves. They haven't got a clue what they're doing. It's going to expose all of it in this video. So make sure you give this video a thumbs up. Let's work together right now to get it out there. This video will help a lot of people. All right, let's get into it. 5 questions a narcissist can never answer. 1. What do you truly feel when no one is watching? What you got to understand about these narcissists is that they are exhibitionists. They're all about putting on a performance, putting on a show. And it is your eyes, your ears as well. It gives them a sense of identity from you watching. As weird as that sounds. Because for myself and my own experiences, and I'm sure for you as well, my real identity, who I really am, that's not when everyone is watching me. And it's not even so much when I'm on YouTube. It's more when I'm on my own, when I'm by myself. That's when I really feel grounded in my own energy. When I'm by myself and there's no one else around, that's when I really feel like I'm myself. And I'm sure it's the case for so many of you who are watching this. But for the narcissist, they feel like themselves when they're around lots of people, whoever those people may be, sources of supply. That's when they feel like they're themselves. That's what gives them a sense of identity. The truth is, they haven't got an identity. It's all just based off of other people's eyes, other people's ideas, whatever's trending in the world today. It's nothing to do with them. It's nothing generated from within. They have no individuality. So if you ask them, what do you feel when no one is watching? They couldn't tell you. They don't really feel anything. If they do, they just feel down. They feel depressed, miserable. They don't feel good about themselves. What they really feel is an itching, a craving to seek out more supply. Because that's their fuel. That's what makes them feel alive. Without it, they have nothing. They feel miserable. They don't feel any peace, any satisfaction with themselves. Because it's all fake, it's all a facade, they're not even real. Their identity, it's all based off of getting reactions from you. Attention, validation. And if they can't get that from you anymore, then it's about pushing your buttons, turning you into their puppets, keeping you under their control, dominating you. That provides them with a sense of self, but it's not even real. It's all in their minds. And it's all in their minds about you as well. I mean, what do? They turn you into something that suits them, provides for them, control you, And then they tell themselves that that's who you are. That's not who you are. Who you are is when you're free. That's the real you. But that's just it. They never wanted the real you. They wanted to be you. And that's how they're all about, doing the same thing every time. They manipulate you, they pull you into something. And then they're all about trapping you, isolating you. After they've taken from you, you become the buffer, the safety net, while they go out, they're having a great time with their friends, garnering new sources of supply. And you're stuck at home, and in their minds, that's you, and that's what they compare themselves to. After they've isolated you, after they've controlled you. And now suddenly there's something else, but it's all based off the attention they get from other people. And that's just it, you're really nothing but a tool to support their false image. The second question a narcissist can't answer. How have you genuinely hurt someone, and why? So it's kind of like two questions in a way. Let's start with, how have you genuinely hurt someone? If you ask them that, they're going to be stunned. They're not going to know how to respond to it. Because in their minds, they've never hurt anyone. They have so much shame that they're trying to run away from. They have to tell themselves that they've never done anything wrong. Because to admit one thing opens the floodgates to everything else that they've done. So they live a lie, they live in denial. They act like they've never made a mistake. They've never done anything wrong. They've never hurt anyone. That's what they tell themselves. But of course, it's just not realistic. Because people, humans, we all make mistakes. We all do things wrong. So when you ask them this question, it stuns them. They don't know how to respond to it because, on one hand, they know, yes, people make mistakes. People do things wrong. None of us are perfect. But because they have so much shame and deep down they believe they're worse than anyone else, they panic, they're terrified about admitting that they've done one thing wrong. Because then it may open the floodgates to everything else because they repeat the same patterns of behavior. So, they could admit to one thing that maybe you're suspicious about. How maybe you remember that they stole something from you or from someone else. If they were to admit that, there's also a pattern to it. So it's like, what about the other time that you did that? What about the other 10, 20 times you did it before? And what about these other things that are connected to that incident? So this is why, they panic, they're terrified, and they just want to shut it all out. They just act completely innocent, oblivious. Like they've never made a mistake. They've never done anything wrong. But I will say this, sometimes a narcissist may take accountability. At least, they may admit something because they want to look like they're human. They want to look normal. And many narcissists, they do have some level of intelligence where they know that they've got to admit to something to look normal. They've got to be able to look like they can be vulnerable. Like they've made a mistake and they've learned from it, they're growing. They understand that, so they may admit to something, even if it's something small, and they may minimize it and act like, we're talking about things that we've done wrong, and this is it for me. It's not such a big deal, but this is the little thing that I did. But if you ask them why, they will struggle to go into that because they lack self-awareness. Most of them do. So they're not going to be able to tell you why they did something. They won't be able to give you closure. It's going to be superficial, lacking substance, depth. They'll just be like, yeah, I did this one time. I don't know why I did it. Oh, it's because they pushed me to do it. It's because it was what they wanted me to do. I was cornered. I didn't have any other option, is what they might say. So even then, it's kind of, they're just putting it onto someone else. And they can rarely ever actually go within and just admit, this is what I did wrong. I made this mistake. I shouldn't have done this. I've learned from it now. I'm a better person. I'm not doing that anymore. They can't do that. But this is it, if you do ask them, how have you genuinely hurt someone and why? They likely won't give you a straight answer. It's not going to be something direct. They're going to be feeling insecure about it. They're going to be feeling exposed. They're probably not going to want to talk about it. If you ask them, they may just put it back onto you. They may just ask you, how have you genuinely hurt someone? Or what about this when you did this to me? Even though that may just have been reactive abuse in response to something they did to you. But they're unlikely to genuinely own up to something unless it's from years ago. 10, 20 years ago, they might admit something then. If it's not relevant anymore, if you can't hold them accountable. Thank you for the donation, W23Go, I appreciate it. The third question a narcissist can never answer. What do you actually love about yourself beyond appearances? When you're dealing with narcissists, it's all about appearances. It's all about their image. It's all about how they look. And it's all about how you look as well, because they view you as an extension of them. So you have to make them look good. You have to be perfect too. But beyond that, what else is there? What else do they love about themselves? Because they haven't got anything underneath that image, that false self. There isn't anything else to them. And that's why, they focus so heavily on the image. Whether it's a somatic narcissist who focuses on their beauty, their body, or a cerebral narcissist who focuses on their intelligence. Because other than that, they haven't got anything. That's all that they have. And so, if you ask a narcissist, what do you actually love about yourself? Beyond appearances, they will likely struggle to think of anything. I mean, it's going to be something generic, still something superficial. They might just say something random, like they think that, and it will be something that really just shocks you, even offends you, because they're nothing like that. But they may say they love their empathy, they love their compassion, they love how they're such a martyr, even though they may not actually say that word, but along that lines, they'll say they're a Samaritan, they donate to charity, they try to help people. And it will just be something that really just upsets you, because they're nothing like that. That all they care about is their image, their appearance. And when no one's watching, they don't care about anything that they profess that they care about. But yeah, this is what it's like, you know. You ask them this. The fourth question. When was the last time you admitted you were wrong? I mean, it's kind of similar to the first question, but, you know, again, they want to be seen as perfect. They can't accept that they've ever done anything wrong. They've never made a mistake. So, you know, admitting they've done something wrong, they're not going to like it. But if they have to, you know, to look normal, especially if there's other people around, if it's just you and them, they may not care too much about it. They may just deflect it back onto you. They may just say to you, when was the last time you admitted you were wrong? Because you're constantly pressuring me. But if it's in front of other people, they're going to have to come up with something. Because they have some level of social awareness, you know, they know that if someone is asking them, when was the last time you admitted you were wrong, and they can't come up with anything, it's not going to look good. They're not going to look normal. So they'll think of something from years ago, like it's so long ago that it no longer has such an impact anymore. They're unlikely to bring up anything to do with you that they've done recently. They will act like they've done nothing wrong for years. That's typically how it goes when you're dealing with narcissists. But at the moment, you know, when you're asking them these types of questions, they're going to look stunned. They're going to be caught off guard. They're not going to know how to react. But they're going to try and bite their tongue, deal with it. And if you're asking them these things at a public event in front of other people, they're going to hold on to it and punish you later. So be careful when you're asking them these things. But yeah, the fifth question. Who argue without control over others? Another question they will struggle to answer because their identity is based on control. They have to control people like puppets, like pawns on a chessboard, because without that control, they have nothing. They are nothing. They feel nothing other than depression, emptiness. So they've got to have that control over people. They've got to be able to manipulate you. It makes them feel alive. It gives them a sense of identity. They get a sense of identity when you are confused, you are unhinged, you've lost touch with yourself, you've lost your sense of self. That's when they feel empowered. It empowers their false self. And that's why it's so important to them. That's why in any moment, you know, they've got to have that control. They've got to be able to manipulate you, deceive you, pull the wool over your eyes, because if they can't, they don't even know who they are anymore. They just feel dead inside, and that's how they normally feel. But yeah, these are the 5 questions a narcissist can't answer. At least they can't answer honestly, accurately. Or they are questions that they may struggle to answer. But some narcissists, you know, they're more socially aware and they may be able to answer them. It just won't be a good answer. It won't be honest. But yeah, let me know what you think about these questions. That have you ever asked a narcissist any questions like this? How do they react to it? Let me know in the live chat. As you can see, I'm just in the room today. I've just been doing some work, editing my next video, next Gang Stalker video, which should be up by tomorrow. But yeah, these people are really scary because, you know, they're living in a false reality. They're living a lie. And you got to think, I mean, so what about these actions, these behaviors that should be connected to you? Who did that then? Who said those things? Because they just act oblivious, unaware, innocent, as though they have no connection to any of it. So who does then? What happened there? The truth is they just split off. Their identity, their false identity splits in that moment. It cuts off everything that they did. They disown it, they assign it to you. You are burdened with their shame, with the responsibility for everything, things you didn't even do. And then you're left to carry that, while they go off acting like they had nothing to do with it, like they never did anything wrong. And yeah, they're off in some fantasy bubble somewhere, thinking, having to believe that they're a good person and making everyone else believe that. That's really what's going on. And this is how they have to live their lives. They've already got to have someone who they can idealize so that they can take from that person. And when they do, then they also dump, they unload everything they hate about themselves onto that person as well. And that's really what they're looking for, you know. They're looking for a human toilet. And that's what we are. We are the emotional toilet, the emotional trash can for the abuse. And that's why, you know, after dealing with them, how do you feel? Just feel dirty, disgusted inside. Because they're toxic. But once you get away from them, once you spend more time to yourself, you start to feel clean, pure, no longer contaminated. And this is because they've been neglecting themselves their entire lives. They avoid accountability. That's very unhealthy. They're doing things but having no connection to what they're even doing. They're not even connected to their own behaviors. Disconnected from their own emotions. But these things are all a part of them. And yet they're neglecting all of it. And it's really like a breeding ground for bacteria. And this is why, you know, you get around them and you feel sick. You don't feel like yourself anymore. But this is what they have to do, you know. They have to distract you. They have to divert your attention from the horrible smell. Because, you know, they're trying to act like everything's good, everything's perfect. But then you smell something that's not right, and it puts you off. It makes you think differently about them. So then they're trying to divert your attention. They're trying to trick you into thinking, no, there's no smell. It smells like roses here. But of course, by you doing that, by you going along with it, you are then disconnecting from yourself. Because the truth is that there is a bad smell. It does stink. They are rotten. So this is it. This is how that happens. It's because you're walking on eggshells, you're being in denial just like them. Because you know they don't want to accept it, they don't want to deal with it. They'd rather just lay in their own filth. And of course it's uncomfortable for you, but it becomes normalized. You get used to it. But I can tell you that once you come out of it, once you get away from the narcissist and you start to heal, you're going to be wondering, how the hell did you lay in that? How the hell were you even comfortable around them for that long? It will make you wonder. Because you are having to deny all of these things all of that time, acting like there was nothing wrong with it, when there were things that were seriously wrong. I mean, it's kind of like being attacked, and you've got this big gaping wound inside of you, and you're having to pretend that there's nothing wrong. That it's just this nagging pain. It becomes infected, and then you're like slowly dying. And you're just trying to hang on, and you're like, no, there's nothing wrong, everything's fine. This is what it's like. It's kind of like, it's like someone coming up to you and hitting you in the stomach as hard as they can. And you're having to pretend like there's nothing wrong, nothing just happened. How are you going to do that without it affecting you? Of course it's going to affect you, because something wrong did just happen, something bad. So, yeah, it's kind of like, I don't know, what's the word for it? You've been winded. It's taken the air out of you. You can't even breathe anymore. Because you know that things aren't right, things aren't adding up, things aren't making sense. But you're having to go along with it. You're having to pretend. And that's how, it has this effect on you. It wouldn't have anywhere near that effect if you were honest about it, if you accepted it, what's really going on. The reason why it affects you so much is because you don't accept it. You walk on eggshells. You live in denial just like they do. That's why it affects you. That's what really makes it get to you, because then you're neglecting yourself. I mean, what's a good analogy for this? It's kind of like, let's say you go out one weekend, you go to a club, you get drunk, you don't have much sleep. Now, if you're aware of what you've been doing, you've gone out, you've drunk alcohol, you haven't had much sleep. Because you're aware of it, you're not in denial, you're not neglecting yourself, you can do something about it. So you're aware, okay, I've got a hangover, I need to take some paracetamol. I haven't had much sleep, I need to get more sleep. I need to take action, do something about it, make it better. This is it. Without accountability, without the awareness of it, you can't make anything better. So all of these things are happening, and it's gradually just bringing you down. And because, they're quite comfortable, they could just live in their own filth. You just leave it. It's like an infection. It gradually grows, and then it takes over you, destroys you. And that's how it's happened for these people. They are destroyed. They're ruined. Because they've been neglecting these things for such a long time. And especially, with the isolation. You can't go and tell anyone about it. There's no one there to help you. So it just gets worse. And this is the thing, you know, it's like the domino effect. It has a knock-on effect. We are all connected. So what affects you, it affects everyone. Everyone you come into contact with, anyone who has any awareness of you, and even without that awareness, it will still affect them. And even people who aren't even remotely connected to you, because you could be connected to someone, or they could be connected to them. So this is how this happens. But yeah, these are the 5 questions a narcissist can't answer. I haven't talked about this before, so a new topic for you. But yeah, I think that's good for this one. If this video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. And let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If you're new here, subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be notified when I go live again. And also check out my daily blog posts on my website. You can also book a one-on-one with me on there as well. It's narcsurvivor.co.uk. And also that's the same name for my Instagram. I'm posting new content on there every day as well. And we've got the new Facebook group. It's called Narc Survivor. If you'd like to help keep this work going, you can donate. Go to paypal.me/narcsurvivor. So yeah, that's it for this one. Thank you all. I appreciate your support. And I look forward to speaking with you in another live video very soon.